lot of people want to know what my take is on love. You know, how do you feel about love? Well, I process feelings, so what I feel may not be real to you. Nonetheless, though,
give you some of my love and you don't know how to use it. That's cause you don't possess it unless I come to infuse it. I love so much, became professional on how to lose it. We gave you all these children and it's just for your amusement. My love is funny to you, so I walk out to diffuse it. You say that I'm a coward, now I say that you're confusing. Right in front of your face, still you need some type of music. Now you can't believe your ears, so I use science to prove it. Take a look back on your years. Has your man shown improvements, or is he dying fast under some fad illusion? Arrived at conclusion, denies that's how it's ruined. Sky and water have a better justified union. It's a jungle on the earth, love muscles keep it moving. But love is evil, baby, you may not know what you're doing. You're the one who's scared of the dark and the boogeyman. I'm the one with hands in the jar and your cookie can. Some of y'all think part of the plan is you could be mad. I possess the X and the Y, let's try to match again. You possess the sign in the sky that is masculine. You want the D more than I want the P. I see you at 10 on one hand. Is the women I tap that are still friends, and you'll say you just need one. That's the solution, exactly what I mean. That's how you trap off the dreams and stifle others' capability inadvertently. You should know that love is evil. There's a miss in front of lead, don't let her mislead you. Misinterpret, misguide, that's why things are legal. Doing things out of pride only divides people. Love is this way, love is this way. Love is this way, love is this way. Love is this way, love is this way. Love is this way, are you coming or not?
to discuss the air element now. Libra season is next, so why not, right? Keep it in order. So we're going to discuss the air element, beginning with the fixed quality, and show you how the maturity or the height of the fixed quality resides in the cardinal quality of that element. Cardinal quality, which would be Libra inside of the air element. So we're going to begin with Aquarius. Now, for those who just tuning in, and perhaps I didn't even explain it last video, what a simulation actually is. So a simulation is like an imitation process of something, or like a production, a model of something that you prefer or something that you desire. So it's kind of like if you had the ability to produce your own life and your own actions 24/7 in your own life, and you like designed it. That's what a simulation would be, and it would be like acted out. So it's kind of like an acting out, if you will. Some people may even call it a deception, a projection of what your life is apart from what or who you truly are. So that's the best definition that I can give you without like turning it into some type of seminar, right? So I was explaining how the simulation actually occurs as like a movie theater that's built inside of us, and we see these decanates being acted out in front of us for our eyesight to see. And the only way out really is to like close your eyes and like shut yourself off from all activity, all sensory data, if you will. So, you know, I was explaining in the Virgo video about how where the planets were and what degrees they were in, how things were being experienced because of those influences. So, of course, the planets are in a slightly bit different place than they were when I did that video. The same mechanics do apply though. So the decanates, just to refresh your memory in case you didn't watch the first video, is basically there's 30 degrees applied to each sign. And the first 10 degrees is sectored in three parts, The first 10 degrees gets assigned to the sign that it's actually in. The second 10 degrees gets assigned to the next sign of that element, which is in order of the astrological wheel. So if it's Aquarius, the next one inside of the order will be Gemini. And then the third set of 10 degrees gets associated or applied to, allocated to the third sign in that wheel applied to that element, which in this case will be Libra. And as the degrees rise in a sign, that is where maturity resides. Now, some people may be conflicted with this, right? Because you're just like, okay, depending on what sign you are, you're like, no, I'm that sign. I'm very authentically that sign. You're not going to tell me that I'm supposed to be a Pisces and mature into some Scorpio type of characteristics. However, there's truth to it. It is, and I think the most challenging part is for mutable signs to go into fixed, because that's where the maturity it is. And you're just like used to adapting and adjusting, and your maturity level gets narrowed down. And it's just like, oh, but I don't want to be that way because I'm not truly that way. However, when you watch the planets move through these areas, you'll see how these things can apply. You're still you. And I think this is what gives more place to this actually being a simulation, is because the original state of you, yet there are times when you exercise the other parts of you which can benefit you, and that feels deceptive in itself, because how authenticity resides with some people. Some people are okay with this, like they're like, okay, I can change faces at any given moment to do what I need to do to get what I want to get. And some people become professionals at this type of stuff. But we're just discussing it. We're opening up the doors, we're opening up the platform to really zero in on this and see, does it work? You can ask yourself, does it work? Can it work? How can it work? Why does it work this way? All of these questions can be asked, right? And of course, you are the sole decision maker. You are the judge of how these things go, how they sit with you, and will you apply them or not, right? So let's begin with the fixed sign, Aquarius, right? So, and this is what I must stress before we go any further, is that there's a time for everything. So I know you may have heard this statement before, right? There's a time for everything. So just like I said, you may have this strong feeling about who you are. You may say, yo, I'm an Aries and that's it. Like, you can't tell me that I'm supposed to start acting like a Sagittarius, or I'm supposed to start acting like a Leo. I'm Aries all the way. And I'd say kudos to you. Like, I support that as well. You know what I mean? However, you will come across a time, whether it's the moon, whether it's Mercury, whether it's Mars, etc., when these planets cross through your sign. Let me keep it on air signs just so I don't get it all mixed up, right? Will come through the Aquarius sign, your fixed, stubborn type energy, determined type energy. And when it gets to like the between 10 degrees and 20 degrees, you start feeling real Gemini-ish, or you get the influence to become Gemini-ish. The whole detachment part associated with Aquarius, it's like you can't avoid it anymore. It's just like you get all types of emails during this time. You get all types of mail in the mail. You get all types of phone calls. All of a sudden, your cousins need you to come down here and pick them up and drive them over here. And it's just like you may naturally feel aloof, right? And distance. You may love these people and everything, but you may just be playing them at arm's distance, or when it needs to be done or whatever. And now it's just like coming out of everywhere. This is the Gemini influence coming into the Aquarius state. Now, if you're an Aquarius, right, you might question this and say, well, this is going against my own willpower. This is going against my determined focus, without realizing that these, what you call irritations or disruptions, are actually the things that will help you mature. Right? Now, someone may like, okay, stick with Aquarius. Aquarius just may be too stubborn. And this applies to wherever Aquarius is in your chart. All right. Let's not get it twisted and just exclude these things from you, whatever sign you are. So whatever sign you are and you're listening, pay attention, because this will apply to the Aquarius in your chart. So you may say, no, look, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Now, if that occurs, right, these influences, these hunches speak to you, these people reach out to you, or these things reach out to you and nudge you and you don't respond, and for whatever reason, you may think that you're above it. You may think that you're below it. Some people discredit themselves and be like, I'm not deserving of that, right? So whatever the reason is, and you do this, and then consequently you find yourself in a state that is disturbed or perhaps even more irritated, then when you ponder on these things, just think about it, and say, well, what if I would have answered that email? What if I would have responded to that phone call? What if I would have went and picked that person up? Like, start thinking about those things, right? Because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain it in the order that is set up so that you can understand how these things will help one mature. So beginning with Aquarius, right? Let's just say we're going to keep it on the sun, because the sun is your soul, which deals with a lot of livelihood, your likes and your dislikes, and it's a pretty strong emphasis when it comes to the sun. You got romance, you got gambling, you got fun, you got leisure, a lot of just lively things about life that's there with less restrictions that Saturn would have, and et cetera, et cetera. So let's just say the sun is moving through the 30 degrees of the sign of Aquarius, and in the beginning, your determination, your focus is very extreme. You feel very it's like solar returns happen here for you. It's your birthday during this month, and you're excited because of that. And, the first 10 degrees of this experience is just kind of blissful for you, right? Because it's just your natural state. You're so you right now. And I get it. We all understand that, right? We all know that feeling. Now, you may even be a type of Aquarius that has a later birthday, right? So maybe it's when your birth sign, you may be born with Gemini decanates or Libra decanates. So you may even by birth just be a more developed or mature Aquarius because of your born decanates as well. You know what I mean? But again, when the sun, wherever the sun is at during that time, according to your birth right, you're going to feel the emphasis. You're going to feel more naturally you during that time than anything, right? So all of the things that's associated with Aquarius: being objective, being a networker, being a group player, being selective as well, because Aquarius just don't associate with anybody. They will objectively perceive everyone. However, they feel more like inclined to interact with people when it has purpose behind it, especially when it's something that can like help or be scientifically sufficient in some type of way that helps humanity or something like that, right? It just helps people in general, especially if it's a part of a group network, right? So things may be going just the way an Aquarius desires for it to be. And then when it gets in between 10 and 20 degrees, like I said before, all of these contacts start reaching and nudging and grabbing at this Aquarius. And it's just like you get irritated, right? Uranus rules over Aquarius, so the irritation sparks, and it's just like they get frustrated, and it's just like they don't really want to deal, or they're trying to figure out and sort it out. Like, what am I supposed to deal? Like, what is this all about? You know what I mean? So let's just say in a scenario, this Aquarius decides to start sifting through all of these emails to see what's going on, and they start answering them, and they start seeing these intricate parts of the email once open that says, oh, well, is this for real? Like, it might not seem so true. You might be skeptical about it, but you check into it, and then the next thing you know, you're intrigued because it has something to deal with humanity, or it has something to deal with networking and partnering up with something else that presents an opportunity, right? Aquarius is a great opportunist. So you check into it, you look into it, and next thing you know, you're well informed about it. And you're like, well, this is interesting. I'd like to know more. You find out it's a true flagship store or whatever the case may be. And you're like, okay, these people are official. I want to work with them. Now, had you not have done that, or wherever Aquarius is in your chart, then you wouldn't be able to grow in this area of life. You understand what I'm saying? So now here's a twist of it though as well. Gemini is very communicative. There might be some travel involved with this, right? It might bring Aquarius out of the fixed element. Not saying, but Aquarius will travel. Like Aquarius do like adventure, so that can help develop the Aquarius as well, help the maturity in Aquarius in your chart develop mature as well. So that may be on the table. And things that are just associated with Gemini. It might be a course that you have to take, some type of fundamental learning course, some type of book that you may have to read, and, take a quiz after that to confirm that you are capable of doing what this journey consists of, right? And then it's just like, okay, all right. This is part of the process that builds the maturity, right? So if you know anything about Gemini, when Gemini energy takes on, the Gemini energy can multitask, right? So it might be a very agile time in this Aquarius's life now. It might be real mental sparring going on, brain games involved, putting pieces of the puzzle together, and that also deals with human beings. So the aloof part becomes non-existent at this point, because you got to go shake hands and you got to at least listen to other people pitching their ideas to make sense of it in some type of way. So with this being said, as the multitasking occurs, it shouldn't be too much, because when it takes on too much, then it's too distorted and it's not enough focus into a few things that need addressing, right? A few things, and Gemini energy can handle it, just not too much. So then the Aquarius gets to use some of their capability of being aloof and being distant and being selective and saying, okay, this work, these ideas work, these emails are cool, I'm going to archive the rest of them, delete them, destroy them, whatever the case may be. These have no social relevance to me or my goals or determination and stuff like that. So we're just going to leave those by the wayside. I'll give you an example, right? I just received the email not too long ago with some interesting things going on. And I was like, when I seen how much of it was going on, I was like, whoa, I was in the middle of doing something. Now, mind you, the moon was inside of Gemini at this time. So I'm multitasking. I'm like, okay, put that down for a minute, open this up, start communicating with this. And then I started reading further where the location was, right? So I didn't mind the adventure. I didn't. It's just when I'm looking at the whole total scheme of things in my agenda, my schedule, I had to be real with myself and say, you know what, I'm not going to be able to dedicate myself and devote myself to these opportunities right here because of how far out they were, because I had other things already established and scheduled. So I had to, stray away from that and get away from that, right? So that was just part of me being responsible, but the moon being in Gemini is what influenced that activity. You understand what I'm saying? So I became selective in that area to decide and determine what I can take on and what I cannot, so that this thing runs smoothly. Remember, the sun is still in Virgo at this point during this scenario, during the story. But let's get back to the sun being in Aquarius for these purposes. So now that that's established and that's official, right? We've done all of the communicating, and you might even be drained from doing so much communicating with Gemini, right? You done shook their hands, you took the phone calls, you left the messages, and very active stuff, right? So then the sun moves into the third phase of the air element, right? We're leaving the mutable part, right? This is probably the most difficult. The Gemini part is going to be the most challenging part for the Aquarius, because it's so agile. It's so, you have to adjust. You have to, be mutable. You just have to adjust to everything that's going on around you. And not saying that Aquarius can't. It's just they're so fixed that's where the challenge is. Anything that goes from fixed to mutable is a challenge. Anything that goes from mutable to fixed is a challenge. It's simpler for the quality to go from cardinal to mutable, or from mutable to cardinal, because it's already active, especially when it comes to decision making, right? But when you're setting your ways and you got your things lined up, you got your schedules lined up, you got your go-tos for this, you only go eat this certain sandwich from this certain store, and then Gemini's, this mutable quality is coming across and suggesting something else. You like, nah, man, I'm not. You got to, come on. This is my spot. Like, this is who I go see. That's what I do. And it's like, you want to grow or not? You want to go see what's on the other side of the rainbow or not? And so that's what that presents. So as we're moving out of that into Libra, this is where the height of being in Aquarius is. Now again, this may upset you. This might, rub you the wrong way and say, no way, you might be an Aquarius who has something against Libras. I don't know. You know what I mean? But I know how people, the reason why I bring this up is because I know how people attach themselves to their signs, and they're like not trying to hear that other stuff about other signs. Some people are very like that, even if they got a certain moon and another ascendant, they're just like, no, I'm more like my sun sign or whatever. I understand, but just pay attention, right? Because this, when it gets from 20 degrees to 30 degrees, this is when you're going to start seeing the maturity. This is the height of that actual sign. So you got to think, for someone that's so stubborn, right? You got to think about your adversaries and everything, your everybody combined, right? For people who think they can predict you. Now, this is the part that Aquarius may love about this, though, is that they want to be unpredictable anyway. And wherever Aquarius is in your chart, should be unpredictable, or wants to be predictable, it thrives off of unpredictability. So this changing through the signs will help them and assist them in being that way, because even your enemies will have a challenge figuring you out when you later on make a decision that is outside, it's in your element, it's just outside of your qualities. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, now we get to Libra, and Libra, instead of, being so stubborn and stern on your position on something that you strongly believe in, maybe show a lot of conviction about, and people are aware of that, and then all of a sudden you're like negotiating with people about it, talking with them about it, considering it, pondering, oh, get back to me later on that. You know what? I'm going to think about it. They're like, what? And they think it's unbelievable, right? They may call it friends. They may call your enemies. Listen, she's thinking about actually doing this. Can you believe it? No, I can't believe it. No, they're trying to set you up. Don't fall for it. Don't go for it. Who knows how this is going to play out, right? However, this is where there is chance for growth, right? Not the stagnation that resides with being stuck, being stubborn, and, whatever floats your boat. As I said in the Virgo video, right? I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong. The individual will determine what their morality is when it comes to this. The individual will determine what their ethical standard is when it comes to making these decisions. But these things are here to explain to you how these things can work. So with the sun entering Libra, now this Aquarius ideal that exists in everyone's charts is going to be looking to do some types of deals, and negotiating may be involved with doing that. So it's not just being a team player or being part of a network and doing work that assists mankind, humanity, or something that is charitable, or something that is something that falls along the lines of radio, right? Something that falls along the lines of perhaps even astrology, computers. Besides just being a part of that type of network, now you are actually on the level of negotiating something that probably applies to those types of industries. Right? So do you understand, do you hear in the wording how the maturity level comes from this? Like, you may have just been playing a role that is part of a group, and now all of a sudden you're on the spotlight is on you to actually negotiate a deal. Right? Not only that, you may have to enter a conference, or, let's say a conference with your enemies of an existing industry sitting at the same table, sitting at the same round table. Right? And you may have to be the one that has to articulate and discuss what it is that is part of your goal, is part of your determination and everything, but it's next level. This is how you bring what you desire to the next level. You have to actually come out of your element. So like the saying goes, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Here you are at a conference table amongst your enemies, amongst with peers, amongst with people in the industry, or whatever line of work that you do. And you are the mouthpiece that has to make this substantial for you and your group and network, right? So you see how that shifts everything. And now all of a sudden you're a cardinal, you're a leader. So that pretty much wraps it up. Next video, we're going to be talking about how the cardinal signs mature by becoming mutable signs. All right, I'm out.